Today's practice was the equivalent of a Tuesday practice. We were in shells. It was very physical. It was fast. We got a lot of plays in. A lot of special teams emphasis. Justin Sorensen continues to kick the ball well. I think we're deep at running back. And I think that we have plenty of receivers to throw the ball to. The depth chart, I think you'll see, will reflect a lot of ands or ors. And when you're playing as many plays as we're playing, I think that's, being a starter might be noticeable for a few plays, but then it's just going to be a flurry of players coming in. And I'm not so sure that being the starter will be relevant other than first series or so.
As you listed Eric Thornton back on offense, is that a reflection of how Michael Davis has come along at corner, or can Eric still go both ways?
Eric will still has a chance to go both ways, but it's reflection on Michael. And it's also a reflection on Mike Hague being back, and we think healthy enough to help us at either corner, either safety, and nickel. And so Eric was playing really well on the offensive side before he came over. He got enough training, knows the defense well enough. If there's an injury, he could come back, but we think his role will be more significant, faster. And I think we've served our purpose by adding depth with a crossover player, so he goes back now.
Do you feel stabilized at corner right now?
Right now it's a good word for it. We're thin, but I like the way that our guys are playing at that spot. Michael and Rob Daniel at the field corner, and then at boundary corner, basically a combination of Sky Pove, Dallin Levitt, and Mike Hague. And so I think we have enough. And then if you add Eric Thornton as possibly the third field corner, or possibly Mike Hague over to that spot, I think we're okay.
With the fact that you have these young corners, that changes the way you play defense a little bit?
I think our defense changes a little bit each year. Hard to know in the first game how much that is. I usually work hard on a practice basis and a day-by-day basis to see what they might do well and what they will struggle with, and then try to protect them as much as possible, or highlight them as much as possible within the call. So if it does change, I'm not sure you'll notice it. I'll notice it, but I'm not sure anyone else will.
Assuming that 10 guys on the offensive linemen on the depth chart will travel, will they be it, or will you travel more than 10?
I think we'll travel 10.
Those 10.
Mm-hmm. And there's a great chance that more O-linemen will play than have ever played before. Normally we'll go into 7 players, maybe 8. I wouldn't be surprised to see all 10 get some action.
Who's your third-team quarterback?
Third-team quarterback is Christian Stewart, if I had to name today, but he's also serving as our scout team quarterback. It's not much difference between he and Jason Munns. Both will travel, and I think that you could list it as day-to-day. If you listed one or the other, it might change by tomorrow, so I would list them or slash if I were in your shoes.
Coach, how is Spencer Hadley doing at Buck linebacker?
He's great. He's very active. He's really fast. He was trained there before. If you go back to the Texas game, that was a spot he was playing and had a bunch of tackles, and we moved him and really didn't have to teach him anything. He remembered it.
In terms of giving your defense a good look, what's the current Virginia element most representative of what you think you'll see? Is it coaches? Is it players?
It's really hard. I would say coaches first. Steve Fairchild is the offensive coordinator. He was at Colorado State. So there's some familiarity there as a starting point. They also have a really mobile quarterback, so there might be elements of what we do offensively mixed in. Hard to say, like any season opener. But I think it will go to who the coaches are first. Then how the personnel will be used, hard to guess on that part.
Are there certain players that stand out on film to you from Virginia at all?
Well, here's the thing. I really haven't studied much Virginia film because there isn't any. We could watch from last year, but it's a different system, and I'm always hesitant to do that. So a series or two just to get a quick idea of what a player might look like, but I've been focusing more on us, and I think in the opening game, that's a lot more relevant.
You've won 6 straight season openers. Can you link them by a common thread?
I think focus on ourselves rather than so much on the opponent. You have to be sound versus an opponent, but really it's getting the most out of your players, making sure their assignment sound, play hard, and then you adjust the best you can as to new things you might see. And we've done it before. I don't remember exactly how many times we've had new coordinators we're facing, but there's always some uncertainty.
Will you start with Spencer Hadley at Buck as the depth chart shows, and
Yes.
then Alani Thor will start it?
If we were starting today, we would.
Can you talk more about defensive end depth? We kind of assumed Bronson and Remington would start, but
Bronson, Remington, Ethan will possibly play end as well, which means Marcus Johnson has kind of solidified himself back at nose. He's emerged and really doing a nice job. He also knows defensive end. Logan Teale knows defensive end and nose tackle as well. Sai Tautu, we're cross-training at will, linebacker and defensive end. And then Tomasi, our freshman. So all those combinations equal depth at end.
Will you travel John Raheem?
I'm not sure yet. He got a concussion in practice on Saturday, and so he has to pass protocol. Our plans were to travel, but now we'll have to see.
who becomes your third nose tackle with John Raheem?
Could have been any of the ones that I just mentioned. Maybe Logan would be next.
Do you go over much with these guys, how to travel, how to stay ready when you start the season?
Yeah, not yet though, because they'll forget by the time we leave. There's so many new players, etc. So that'll be more of a Wednesday team meeting speech.
Some people might be surprised that your senior so-called superstars aren't captains. Is that a surprise? And I'm assuming the team voted.
Yeah, the team voted, and I think, you know, when you talk about values and different things that the players hear me talk about, I think they like the underdog. I think they like kind of the infantry, and we really have quite a history of that. When you go back to Matt Bauman, and Scott Johnson, and maybe Kellen Fowler, and even kind of Cameron Jensen kind of came out of nowhere, Sete. I think there's more of that than maybe some of the highlighted positions. So I think that's kind of a traditional thing.
A lot of the talk is this new offense going fast and hard. Do you work with your defense on the cases where you might go 3 and out and your defense is off the field for 90 seconds?
Yeah, we do, and as much as you can before we play a game. But they already know they're going to be playing 5 quarters, not 4, in relation to what they did last year. So I'm not sure what else to prepare them for other than more plays.
Does that concern you?
It does if we don't score. But 16 of the top 20 teams that go fast have outscored us the past 8 years, which was 31 points. And so I've chosen to make the trade. Okay, thanks.